Monday. Yes, today is Monday and we're in May, like May 6th. The game is on, the year is going. And I don't know about you, but at times, and I would say today is like a day like that, when you wake up with the challenges that are coming like right at you. And today is one of these days. To the very last minute, was still debating with myself. Will I keep my commitment that I made to myself and show up to myself first, or will I give up because things are getting harder? And last week we had a powerful call. We talked about the book that I finished by David Goggins. It says It Can't Hurt. And phenomenal book, like the book that I enjoyed. And I got so much, like a great feedback from everyone that had the opportunity to participate on the call. That was great. And for today, the idea was to talk about Simon Sinek book, which is called Start with Why. That was the idea for the call today. And as I'm going through the books, and the Start with Why is a phenomenal book that help us to understand why we do things that we do, but it's very much related to the business environment and the workplace. And I came across another book from Simon Sinek as well, which is called The Infinite Game. And this is the book that I want to talk to you guys about today. I had the opportunity to read. I loved it. And I hope through this interaction, we will be able to exchange great energy, and I feed out of my own energy, and I try to get the energy like that comes from the inside. And I also feed from the energy that you guys share with me through your comments, through your messages. So if you like, please share this, share with your friends, invite other people over. We are also on Facebook, so you can go to, YouTube. You can go to YouTube and look it up on YouTube, Sandro Canada. Please subscribe and let's share this message. Let's share the love. But no more the longs. Now, before I start, I just want to say, usually I say at the end of the call, but I'm going to say today, we are almost sold out. I am hosting an event on May 21st from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll have a personal chef that is coming to do a 3-meal course for us, and it's a small group of entrepreneurs or individuals that feel that they're entrepreneurial and they're thinking about starting a career in business or purchase a business, starting a business, what it takes, what is the good, what is the bad, what is the ugly, what is the profitable. And I'm co-hosting with Steve Cody, a phenomenal individual. Like, he is a master of startups. He built over 30 companies throughout his career, massive numbers in sales, and just a good human being. We are doing this event together, May 21st from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll be at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, where is the House of the Red Blacks. We have like a nice room there that we got it. And we only have 3 tickets left. So if this is something that you're also interested, please send me a DM ASAP. Oh, yes. And people say, Sandro, how much is going to cost? Well, it's basically to cover the cost of the room and to cover the cost of the chef and, of course, the meal and all of that. It's like $99. And as we approach, the price is going to go up, so you have a chance to participate. Now, let's roll the drums, and no more the longs. Let's get rolling and get started. Okay. Now, as I read the books, I always like make notes on the books that I read. And this book, which is The Infinite Game, I'm just opening up my notes here, and this one. Okay. The Infinite Game, this is also a book written by Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek is the same guy that wrote Start with Why. Phenomenal author, very insightful. And today I want to talk about the 7 key points that he shared on his book, The Infinite Game. And I finished reading this book this weekend. And we're going to talk about the strategies that how to have a infinite leadership in business, in our relationships, in our lives, how to thrive beyond the competition and build teams that is built in trust and vision. And also, what is the power of existential flexibility? So we're going to talk about these things, but I want to get started. So if you guys want to make some notes, please drop a comment. And I repeat, no problem. But like just getting started here, life is an infinite game with many finite games as subunits. That is very interesting. I was talking to someone this weekend and just having a discussion based on some of the challenges that some of us are facing in that specific group. And some people are facing challenges on relationships, some people are facing challenges on their health, some people are facing challenges in their finances, some people are facing challenges in their careers. Like all of us, we at some point in our lives, we are going to experience challenges. Now, it's even harder when it feels like all the challenges, they're all happening at once, like no breaks, no stop. And then you feel like punched every single area of your life. I posted a very interesting video on my Facebook last week, which is a guy in it's a UFC fight, and there's 2 guys in there on the arena and then fighting. And man, the guy, like, he was beat up and boom, fell on the ground, and it came up again, and it boom, fell again, and it boom, like he fell 3 times. And finally, when he got up on the 3rd time, he was like almost no strength, and it just gave like a clinch on his opponent. And finally, the opponent was defeated. It was very interesting because, like, we saw that match ending 3 times, but he didn't give up and kept standing up. And I was just sharing with this friend. It's like, oh, times I just want to breathe. I just want to breathe. That's it. It's like, well, you can do that, but you gotta do this. You gotta breathe like this, and then and continue. Don't take your guards down, right? And I'm thinking, well, but this, that, and he said, well, Sandro, all these things that you're going through, all these challenges, and now everything, like, think about everything. Doesn't really matter. We will be gone in years, like when you think in the great scheme of things, we'll be gone and life will continue despite of us. As a matter of fact, when we are going through challenges and we share with some people, they care for us and they are there for us and they message us and they call us. But then after a little while, it gets old. Ever happened to any of you that you have a friend going through a challenge and then you message your friend and then you say, hey, friend, I'm here for you no matter what. And then your friend calls and then you answer the phone and he's crying and you share and listen to it. And then again and again, after a little while, when the friend rings the phone again, it's like, oh, and that's how it gets. And it's like, okay, but then if I think about the fact that life is infinite game, like how can I deal then with the things that will end? Well, life goes on despite of us. So then what can we as individuals do that will have an impact in life beyond our own existence? This is a great question. What can we do that will have an impact in life that goes beyond our own existence? Having kids, for example, what are the values and things that I'm going to imprint in my kids that will carry on even when I'm not here? What are the values? What are the morals, the vision, right? Like, think about this for a second, make some notes, but that's a great starting point because we build trust with people. And then a lot of times I hear other individuals talking about personal development and talking about motivation and talk about business and talk about real estate. But there's most of the times, at least in my perspective, the conversations there are very broader, like they're very open and very vague. And at times we find some other individuals that are very specific and they actually show the step by step, and they're more concerned about teaching other than, I'm not going to say grabbing the money. That's too harsh. But you get the point. It like I find that's at least in my experience, and as I'm going through this, right? But then it's like, okay, why then should I listen to you? Like, why should I listen to you? Well, we're all in a processing life where we want to do the talk or talk the talk and also walk the walk. And I was just in a training recently with Alex Hormozy and among other guys that I follow, and he was saying something interesting. It's like the greatest way to not only build trust, but also to implement what you're learning is like a simple technique. You learn, you implement, and you teach. You learn, implement, and teach. Learn, implement, and teach. Right? And at times when I'm talking to individuals, like, oh my goodness, these things that you guys are doing, you should share with somebody. There's so much value. And then I hear, oh no, but I don't know enough. I need to get to a certain point. Yes, but remember that where you are, you have some people that are not there yet. So as you keep moving with your personal development and learning, you're also bringing a wave of people that may follow you or they may outgrow you. I would love, like, I actually not that I would love, let me rephrase this. I absolutely love when I'm talking to individuals that I'm having the opportunity to interact and have these thoughtful conversations, and they go beyond and then they grow me. And then I'm sitting and having conversations with these same individuals that now, it's like, Sandro, we started this conversation with some things that you share with me, and now let me share something with you. And now I'm learning back, right? Now, this also talk about the circle of friends. Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Like I made another post, and it's actually on my Facebook saying, show me your friends, and I'm going to show you your future. And I'm not bashing anybody's friendships. I'm not trying to bash anybody's circle. But the reality is that we will become the average of the people that we are surround ourselves with, we like or not. And why I'm saying this? Well, the reason I'm saying this is because you have an ability and an opportunity to change your environment and make a positive impact and like genuinely help to change people's lives, right? Now, let's not fight the rivals, but learn from them and grow. And infinite-minded leaders are not afraid of existential flexibility. Now, I want to dive a little deeper on this concept because on someone else, I'm looking here. So one, when you talk about infinite game, you can only be ahead or behind, not first or last. What? Well, based on Simon Sinek's discoveries, he's mentioning that the journey of life is filled with twists and turns and happiness, joy, and a whole range of ups and downs. But most importantly, life is a journey with several events and experiences. Most of these are like most of these experiences and most of these events, they are competitions where winners and losers they are declared. But some are not meant to be in a competition. Those are a continuity, the infinite game. For example, the competition between students in class in a finite game. While in school, you could come first or last in a course, but in your career, like you're not competing with anyone other than yourself. And then it never ends until you decided to retire or you decided to go in a different direction, but it continues, right? And then on this theme of infinite game, in 1986, a professor, he wrote a book that was called Finite and Infinite Games. And this book talked about the vision of life as play and possibility, where we introduced the concept of finite and infinite games. That's a little interesting to see this tweak and the motions that Simon Sinek used from that book to also write his own and his own studies. But like, as I am going through my own life and things that are impacting me right now, like today, I'm thinking, how can I differentiate the difference? How can I make that difference between what is finite? And I don't know, guys, if I say finite or finite, but you get the point. How I make the difference between what is finite and what is infinite. And I want you to think about this, to use this concept to help not just you, but also to help me in our personal and professional lives. Because among all the things that we learn in life, in careers, and everything we do with family and friends and acquaintances and co-workers and employees, whatever it is, like all these things, they are transgenerational, and we are just one player in a bigger scope of things. So then, how can we live a transgenerational life? Well, things that we identify, we make these lists and identify what is finite is not infinite. If you are a leader, a infinite leader is not concerned so much about the public image of their business. They are concerned with the welfare of their employees and consumers and customers. And that circles back to another thing that often comes to my mind when it comes to reputation, right? And then when you're doing things that are going extremely well, like the reputation thermometer is like here. And people, they see you in a certain way and they talk about you in a certain way. People will defend you in the rooms that are not in. But then when things are not going so well, then of course that thermometer like drops, right? And then that's when many of us, we start thinking about, if I make this decision, what my neighbor will think, what my family will think, what the people in my church will think, or my people in my like circles and my environment, right? Now, how about the idea of throwing the reputation out of the window? I mean, I'm not suggesting that you go out there and be the crazy dude and going bonkers, but trying to succeed with an infinite mindset, there are some essential practices that Simon Sinek suggested. And I'm going to list here. So I made a list of 5. 1, fight for a fair cause. Create reliable teams. Analyze your strong competitors. Be ready for a change. And show leadership with bravery. Because at times, we will have to make unpopular decisions. We're going to have to make tough calls. And how are you going to react? Or when you are at that point, or you don't want to get to that point, ask for help if you feel that you are unable to do by yourself. And that's, I like this idea that he wrote and suggesting to create reliable teams. And I'm not just thinking, when I think about these things, it's like, well, not just a team at work, but create a team of individuals that you can rely on, not just to take, but also to give, and then create that very collaborative atmosphere where you have the exchange and then you grow stronger. Again, often I hear people talking about competition and our competitors. Well, why not then change the frame from competitors to collaborators? Instead of thinking about competition, think about collaboration, right? So some of the key points. And when we talk about the cause and think about these things that we're going through, right? Individuals with a cause, there will be always find commitment from all the other individuals that are pulling together. Or if you plug yourself into already an existing ecosystem and you come giving value, you have a cause, you have something that you believe for, that you would die for, right? Like those are the things that are going to help us to go to the next level. And as a leader that I am and you are, how are we training our disciples or our followers or people that are listening to what we have to say? Therefore, they're also going to go out there and also make an impact, right? Now, that's also directly related to the future vision. And I am preaching to the choir here. Often, I am recommending to my friends to write the vision and write the vision again and write the vision again and tweak and revisit. And I am failing to do so. I had my vision written down. I visited from time to time. But then in life, as we move and it's in constant motion, I'm also experiencing right now a massive change in my life, like massive. That's going to have a enormous impact in the way that I do life. And then like, okay, now will I stick to what I already wrote, or am I willing to adapt? Am I willing to give up certain things in order to achieve some other things? Like, what are the non-negotiables? What are the other things that I'll be so compelled to fight for their cause that I will then let it go some other things because I believe this so much? Or, no, you know what? I don't care about these things because this is what I'm going to care for. And having this serious and honest conversation with ourselves. But then, do you have an inspiring, just cause? It is futuristic, or is devoid and is selfish? Or do you have something that is bigger than you, that this vision that you carry with yourself, that is going to outlive you? Some of the characteristics of this, like things that they're doing, they are affirmative and optimistic, they are inclusive, that they are open to all those who want to like contribute, or are they service oriented, or they're resilient, or they're idealistic, or just you don't have anything? Like, where are you at? Why are we trying to get different results doing the exact same thing? Are we willing to have some tweaks to keep moving forward and upwards, right? Now, the greatest news is this, that if you are feeling that with all these things that you're doing, it feels like you are at the bottom. Well, the greatest news that I can share today is that when we feel that you are at the absolute bottom, there's only one place to go, and that's going up, right? Now, I also did a course recently and I got a certificate, and it was a crazy thing. I decided to do this course, and a course that was supposed to do in 3 months, I had this crazy idea in doing in one night. And I had to come up with a system in order to achieve that. But I started at 7 p.m., I finished at 3 a.m., booked the test for the following week, and I passed. Wow. But that was interesting. Now, of course, I go back and I revisit the content because there are a few things that I just flew by. But as when I was doing that, I'm like, okay, why am I at this point doing the certification? Well, as a professional real estate investor, there are so many frustrations that I had to go through dealing with certain professionals or that are in certain fields. And I'm like, I want to do this to understand exactly what they are asking me when they ask me for information. And what are the things that they shouldn't be asking, or are they just being lazy? Like, I don't know. I had no idea. I decided to do it. Okay. Now, I did, and it was very, very, very hard. And then I realized that despite of how hard it was to do it, and like the countless hours after completing the course, because in order to book the test, I had to complete the whole course and then be able to book the exam. But then I had to go back during that week to now actually study to be able to achieve the numbers that I needed in order to pass the exam. And I'm like, I'm learning something interesting about myself. That often There are things that I say I'm going to do, but I just don't do it. Either because I'm procrastinating or because I don't really care, or I say I care and I just don't do it. But the things that I have actually to do it and I have a strong why behind, I don't even go to bed. I just do it. So why not then use the same motivation and commitment to other things that I don't really like doing, but they're also important? And my lovely Diane, she's sharing here with us. We need to keep moving as each day offers new opportunities and don't want to miss the right road ahead. It's like driving without a GPS. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going south. But you know which road you're taking? Not really. I'm just gonna keep driving and stop and ask people for information. Well, what if you have nobody there to give information? Or if they give you the wrong information? Now, the one thing I know that technology nowadays is advanced enough for us to put a specific address and when you're driving in a certain direction through a GPS, even if we take the wrong road, it's gonna reroute and bring us to our destination. Now, are we doing live with the GPS or just on the fly? Are we open to the idea that what we are doing, if it's not working for like what? Like, why is not working? Well, if I'm going to use real estate because I love real estate, and this is one of the things that I'm really passionate about. But I'm doing real estate, and things in the real estate landscape, they are not great. So why? Well, the government changed policies that directly impacted the market. Okay, so is this something that is in my control? No, this is beyond my control. Okay, so then what can I do to mitigate this? Like what are, and like you get the point, right? Like using these questions to ourselves to help us get in our frame of mind to then keep going. Like as many of you guys know, I became a business owner and it feels good, right? Like, what do you do? I'm a business owner and I purchased a thriving business in our community. It's doing extremely well, but not as well as I thought in the sense of profitability, which means that even though the business is creating great revenue, is not creating enough for me to take the capital that I thought at this point I would be taking, right? So then I have now to make some decisions. Okay, how I keep moving. There are decisions that I have to make that will have an impact in the way that I'm doing these things or not, right? Am I open to take my emotions aside and think professionally and logically? If I'm not, what I'm missing? Am I open to ask for help? And who am I asking for help from? Make sense? So that goes back to the team. Do we have a team of individuals that are our core inner circle that we can come and ask for help, ask for advice, ask for insight, and also give help, give advice, and give insight? Make sense? So if you want to create a culture in a team, in a group of individuals, that is our core group of trust. Even if it's not there yet, or if you're plugging yourself in, then we need to cultivate the habit of listening. And this one is hitting home big time. Because I gotta make a confession here. I'm not a great listener. Very often, when I have something set in my mind and you're bringing a different perspective, like I hear you, but am I really listening? And then when things they don't go as expected, then I'm like, oh, I'm realizing that I'm not really listening because what is being told, it goes against what I already have firm in my mind. How we do that then? How we break this habit? Well, it's asking for help. It's plugging in. Ask for professional help if it's needed. Be open to it, right? And as you keep moving, don't, like, this is a big one. Don't fight your rivals. Learn and grow from them. Competition is inevitable. You always have someone doing something better than you. No matter how good we think we are, there's always somebody doing something better. Now, there are two ways to react when you discover that someone that is doing something in a better way than you're doing. You could become finite in your way of thinking. So the way that you're thinking right now is like limited. And then start looking for ways to outplay the other player or to outgrow or even to learn and collaborate. Because doing this is that's when you're going to realize that having that little competition is important as a fuel to keep pushing us and move towards self-improvement, but in a way that becomes very healthy competition. At some point when I was working for Reliance and selling HVAC, I had this great friend of mine, and we were always fighting for the top 5 in the company, right? Especially in a region. And it was very often because one, he would do better, and then it would like, it was constantly pushing and pushing each other until I got to the point that I had to step back and say, okay, I'm working all these hours. He's newly married. I have young kids. His wife, she also works hard. So does my wife. But with kids, I have to do some change. And then I had to make a decision at that moment to tweak the ways that I was doing, the thing that I was doing. So I was experiencing the self-improvement that I was looking for, but I had to do some changes because that was impacting other things, right? And it's important that when we realize these things and we have those small victories, for as small that they be, it's important to celebrate the victories. Even if it's a small victories, like let's celebrate the victories. But we cannot linger on them. The infinite game is still going, and there is still much work to be done. Work in the things that we do, the things that we move, the way that we move, the way that we do things, and the way that we grow ourselves. Like having this state of having this state of work with rivals and competitors is I would say, it's a requirement. Like it's a requirement for success. Now, also success is something that is on top of my head for the past week. What success means to me and you, it will be something completely different. But then the other question that comes, if I'm pursuing that, in my mind, success, right? And I want to not be fighting my rivals, but I want to get inspired by people that think differently than me. And then I then go and start keep pushing myself. But then why I'm doing these things? And did I really find my true why, like the one that's right there in the gut? So then let's start intentionally seeking for opportunities that will push us outside of our comfort zone, but always be open to when start impacting other individuals to reevaluate, reset the wheel, and get out of that mindset that no, it's my way or the highway. Like this is important. And like I'm talking to you, Sandro. Like this talks and comes, hits home hard because it's the empathetic listening and the ability to tweak things either in our professional careers or in our relationships that will help us to improve ourselves. And at times I hear people say, oh, no, we are doing this or not doing this anymore because we now have differences that are like impossible to be reconciled. Well, that's valid, but when we have a space for a conversation, have a conversation for a space for a true understanding, there's always a space for growth, and it's always a space to reconcile differences and then learn from them and pass beyond that, right? In 1952, Walt Disney, right before he built Disneyland, he had a flourishing business. which was in the entertainment industry. He was doing extremely well. Now, this is the crazy, because then when he came up with the idea of building Disneyland, like, I can assure you that everybody around him was saying, this dude is crazy. Guess what? He wasn't crazy. He only did what every visionary with infinite thinking leader would do in his shoes. His reason for selling the business, liquidating everything, was simple. The company was doing extremely well, but was no longer serving his cause. And then he left and built Disneyland. And then, of course, today we look to Disneyland, and a whole city was built around Disneyland. Now, back then, people could say, this guy is nuts. How is this even possible? But he exhibited what I mentioned in the beginning, the existential flexibility, right? Which is the ability to drastically change a business model, a strategy, in order to better promote a just cause. For closed-minded leaders, business is a vehicle for advancing a just cause. But then for people that think with an open mind, which I would say the infinite-minded leaders, they're going to use this vehicle and they will do changes that are necessary and their route to fulfill their vision. And so don't be afraid to disrupt or to restructure your business or your career or the things that you're doing when it starts going a direction that obviously won't advance your company's vision. And then goes back to that very first conversation. What is the vision? Right there inside of you, the bigger vision. You know where you're going. The route is rocky, it's hard, it's difficult, and then have the challenges and the giants coming your way, and now you have to also become it's like a giant slayer, and at times you feel like, oh, I don't feel like getting up, but then you gotta find the strength from where you don't see that strength coming, and comes from the inside, and you keep moving. Don't be afraid for these changes, because understanding that existential flexibility is different from adjustments to meet the requirements in this changing world. For instance, most newspapers or most news vehicles, they had to change their business models because of the demands of the digital age. Now, that's not existential flex, or they are just remodeling their business. And remodeling is good when you're facing changes. And just any wise leader readjusts, but takes an open mind and infinite thinking to muster enough courage to make an existential flex possible. Did you know that having your phone in plain sight, even if it's in silent and flipped upside down, can still be distracting? To fully focus and be productive, try to keep your phone away. I did this experiment, and again, I have a confession. Confessionary time. My phone is like an extension of my body. Like, I have my phone by me and my side, like every moment, like all the time. And then last night, I decided consciously to leave my phone in my kitchen counter. I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, and then I tried to fall asleep again, and then at 4 hours up again. I mean, I wasn't even deep sleep. It was just like fussing from one side to the other, until I said, okay, I'm going to grab my phone. But why? Oh, because of the time. No, but I have a clock right there, and I couldn't stand still. And then I'm realizing that even this morning, when I woke up, like, okay, now I'm fully awake, I had that excuse. Oh, I'm going to do my devotional. So then I'm going to turn my phone on. That's a freaking excuse. Do not leave the phone away from the side. Like, this is crazy. And as I was going through the book, and Simon Sinek talking about this, just by having the phone on site is distracting. Yes, can disrupt even the way that we sleep. Like, whoa, right? Mind blowing. So then, in conclusion, it takes a lot of courage to make an infinite decision in a world driven by closed mind thinking. And if you want to be an open minded, infinite leader, you must Learn not to allow your decisions to be influenced by what is finite, but what is closed, but the way that these thinkers, they are doing things. You take courage to live in a different way. And it is so challenging to do alone. But to make things easier, surround yourself with trusting team individuals that will collectively believe in your vision or just cause. And you also will need a rival to keep you on your toes. But most importantly, prioritize your vision above everything else. Try this. The first step in becoming an infinite leader, the first step to have the infinite way of doing things, the first step to make your vision go through, determine if the vision is in alignment with your long-term goal. If you own the business, or if you're starting a business, or if you're an investor, or if you actually have a career working for the government, working for somebody else, but you want to make that changes. Don't just have a mental note of why you're doing what you're doing. Document so everyone can see it and run with it. When you are moving as a visionary and things are not necessarily happening, people will call you crazy. And that means family members, close friends, acquaintances, until it happens. Then you will be called a genius. So guys, stay blessed by the best. Have an amazing Monday. And I see you guys next Monday, 7 a.m. on Zoom or Facebook or YouTube. I see you guys all the way to the realization of your dreams, right? So thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. And please share this message with a friend. Send the link to somebody else. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. If this is a message that is speaking to you, let's make the team of individuals that are moving collectively towards the same goal. I see you guys next week.